timeline where an Illumination Studios Minions movie was better than a Disney Pixar Buzz Lightyear film, surely hell has frozen over. And keep your eyes to the skies because the pigs are gonna fly. Because Minions Rise of Gru was a pretty good time. So, Minions Rise of Gru and 3D 4DX. Let's talk about this movie before we get into the presentation. This is a pretty simple story. Basically, Gru wants to become a great supervillain and he wants to join this league of villains called the Vicious Six. However, things go wrong when they laugh at him and he ends up stealing their precious little rock pendant jewelry thing that will give them all superpowers, and now the race is on to find the rock and get it back, and it's villain versus villain, and also the minions are there to go along for the ride. Honestly, this movie does a pretty good job at handling the minions plots versus the Gru plot. And Gru's sub-story in this is really interesting. Honestly, I think it could have made its own movie if they really wanted to, but they decided to go ahead and throw in some minions fun for good measure. This movie is only 90 minutes long and it moves at 1,000,000 miles a second. It's just constantly telling jokes. It doesn't stop the rest. It's just go, 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 go. And there are a few jokes in here that I actually laughed at. It's a genuinely fun movie. I had a great time watching it. Illumination's been kind of on the uptick recently. I actually really enjoyed Scene 2. And The Grinch was pretty good. And I think they're really starting to get their groove now. I don't know, maybe my tastes are just changing as I get older. You can tell that the filmmakers were having a blast making this, and the minions are a lot of fun when they're being chaotic little gremlins that are just on the warpath, destroying things and just going crazy and putting normal people's lives in mortal danger. One of the best scenes in the movie is this plane scene, which they've featured heavily in the trailers, especially the more recent ones, where they basically hijack a plane and they fly that thing, they all but crash it into the ground, and everyone's screaming and crying and they think they're gonna die, and the minions are just laughing and having a great time. And it's punctuated by the main minion. I don't remember his name, but he does a perfect gentle touchdown onto the runway at the airport they're trying to get to. I had a big old smile on my face watching this movie, and honestly I might have enjoyed this more than the original Minions movie. I think that's all I have to say about it. It's not a whole bunch going on with this. It's just a fun thing with a bunch of different ideas for jokes. And also, part of Gru's story, he's being mentored by his idol. I forget his name. I think his name is White Knuckle. Well, one more thing about this movie. The Despicable Me movies have actually had really good continuity in them. They've also had a lot of really good world building. There's a lot of little Easter eggs and things between the movies that kind of overlap, and they don't really make a big hoot and holler, a big deal about them, because it's just part of this world. The Anti-Villain League is in this movie, and they don't make a huge deal about them. They're just kind of there because they are part of the Despicable Me world. They chase the villains. That's what they do, and they don't have this huge subplot about it. They don't have all this stuff going on with them. They're just there. Ramsbottom's there. The guy who ran the Bank of Evil's in this movie. Dr. Nefario is also in this movie, and these things make sense because this is where they would have been at that point in time when this movie happened to lead them up to being in the original Despicable Me. It's one of the things, especially with this movie, that I really admire about these movies, that they do feel like they have good continuity and they all build off of each other wonderfully. I have no doubt in my mind that if you watch these movies from the original Minions all the way up to Despicable Me 3, it would all make sense and feel cohesive, which is a lot more than you can say about the Toy Story movies these days. Speaking of that, the other interesting thing about these movies is that they're period pieces as well. Both of these movies take place in the 70s, and there's a lot of 70s stuff. Speaking of nostalgia, I know I said that I was done talking about the story, but I still have more to say. They do have a lot of callbacks to the original Despicable Me. There's little Easter eggs here and there, and a lot of stuff they don't make a huge deal of. They don't throw in your face, it's just there. But all the callbacks make sense since this was supposed to be released in July of 2020, which would have been the 10-year anniversary of Despicable Me. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, that will get this video buried and have a little fun Wikipedia article posted on the bottom of it. That was not able to happen, but we got it now. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. The movie's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of jokes. They land for adults, some of them land for kids. The kids were having a field day in the theater. It does its job. And it really makes me want to go watch that first Despicable Me movie. Movie's kind of nostalgic for me at this point, and it was one of the first 3D Blu-rays that I bought. It might have been the second or third one that I got. The 3D's really good. I need to make a 3D review on that one. Anyway, speaking of 3D reviews, let's actually talk about the 3D. So Illumination's always done a great job with their 3D, and this movie is no exception. I will say that there wasn't really anything that super stood out to me, but there were a few moments of looking over deep pits or things coming out of the screen. A lot of the deep 3D was kind of reserved for the final act, which makes a lot of sense because you want to hold off on all your big wow moments until the final act when the climax occurs. It's just fun. The 4DX experience was also a lot of fun. Lots of water sprays, lots of seat movement, there was rain. There was one moment, and I can't even tell if it was the 3D or if it was the 4D, but there's a moment where it's raining in the movie and the theater has like rain spray that sprays down. I don't know if the 3D was just that good, but I could have sworn I saw water droplets coming down from the ceiling, like falling like an inch from my face. I don't know if it was the movie or if it was actual real rain in the theater, but I've never had like a complete blend of the theater experience and a movie like that. That moment, I still don't know if it was the movie or not. But the 3D is really good, and I of course go see it in 3D. I mean, it's an Illumination movie. It's a Minions movie. They have a lot of fun with it. The first Despicable Me felt more focused on a 3D presentation. Like there was more stuff with 3D in mind. This movie still does that a bit, although it's more focused on telling jokes and telling its story than focusing on a whole bunch of big wow 3D moments. Yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. It was just a good time, man. If you just got time to kill, you just want to kill an hour and a half, you probably aren't going to do worse than Minions. Although right now I would still recommend going to see Top Gun Maverick. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully I'll be back with another 3D video very soon. I actually do have an idea for one, but I'm kind of back and forth on whether or not I actually want to make it. Though I'll probably end up making it. I just gotta commit myself to doing it. Thank you guys for watching, and you all have a wonderful day, and go check out Minions Rise of Gru in 3D.